Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tea at 5. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly point out that you can support me on Patreon. I made a small change, and instead of more commented videos, there will be a real-time recordings. The first video will be the last completed study. And my English sucks. I tried to record this like for 5 times without making mistakes, but it's not possible. So, I'm going to start, but yeah, it will be a mess. The first picture was a memory of a dream I had as a little girl. I told myself that some bright colors would make my file more cheerful. The first step was of course a reference from my favorite Pinterest, but I made a basic mistake. The reference was a very poor quality photo. That's why, as you can see in the speed paint, I was struggling with the face much longer than necessary. Even before any shading happened, I spent the whole night thinking about basic colors. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted from the picture. That was another mistake. I didn't want to draw myself because I look like a catfish, and I'm not a very good looking person, so as for the result, it didn't turn out so bad after all. It just didn't quite meet my expectations. There is definitely a fundamental flaw, which is that everything looks like it doesn't belong there. Why? Because I didn't play with the background colors enough. There isn't even a hint of orange or blue on my character to fit in the picture. That's exactly why the background should be a first step, which I did, but I still forgot such an important thing. As for the colors preview, at least it turned out well. What is it actually? In Photoshop I used grayscale soft proofing. What is it for? You'll see there how much the colors and shading blend together overall. I'm just learning all of this, so definitely don't expect perfection. Despite the fact that I don't do what I definitely recommend you to do, and that is so shade in black and white and then work with overlay colors. Unfortunately, I don't like this method at all, so I draw straight away with colors. If you are a beginner and in art and trying to learn to work with colors straight away like me, it's not exactly wrong, but most of the digital drawing professionals we admire, mostly game image creators, shade the entire image in black and white and do the basic colorization by overlaying, and only then do they work with colors. I can teach you this way too, you can possibly vote for it on Patreon. Okay, let's continue. The next picture was a study. I needed to understand a little more about how the shadows on the face work in real life. Again, of course, I started with a reference, and this time with a better quality one, so that I could really see how everything works. Unfortunately, I chose the wrong model. Not that I don't like Billy, but her face is very asymmetrical. Everyone has asymmetrical face, but everyone has it in different way. Billy has it quite a lot, and thanks to that you can recognize her immediately. But it is not quite fitting for study. I've started, so I'm going to finish it. It was quite a battle. Every woman doesn't have the same face, and when drawing at least a little bit realistically, they certainly do not have pointed chins and round faces. I started with a classic sketch, which didn't help me much. The first attempt at painting turned out horribly. I painted with the wrong colors, so I deleted it and started from the ground up. I was terribly afraid of the saturation of colors on the skin. But if you dig deeper into you'll find out that the skin can be quite orange if you work with strong colors. But it is not a necessity. You can draw more pastel paler colors, and then you probably draw the skin with a light body shade. And I certainly don't take it from you, just do not forget to change the rest of the color palette. In my case, it was about maintaining saturation and working with shadows. Even there, however, I tried a style. At first glance, bigger eyes. That's one of the factors in my styling, but unfortunately, they don't look that much like Billy's. She has a rather rare shape of eyes, which look tired even when she smiles. Sorry. She has them quite beveled, and each one a little different. The problem was that I didn't keep it as it should be. I did a little bit of unfortunately very subtly, so it's not very clear who I actually draw. Each of her eyebrows is different, just like her eyes. Fortunately, at least I kept this. Then, of course, a relatively large round nose, and I prompted lower lip. I forgot the shadow under her nose, which is also a big mistake. Anyway, I tried to go fast because I wanted to learn to simplify and not spend hours on picture. I forced myself not to look for more details and quit. Result: face is good, just doesn't look much like its living model. The next image was a hocus pocus with stylization. It's not the best, but it's not disaster either. Honestly, it doesn't look too much like the reference, which I actually didn't even want. I was just really inspired by it. And the beginning was again a sketch, more like a battle. I didn't know what I really wanted. Then I continued with just a hint of line art, and it was time to paint. First, I started again with the background. I played with brushes there, I like to discover new possibilities. Then it was time for the primary colors, and I hope to get rid of this bad habit soon. However, it always limits me in terms of colors, because I am a beginner and I don't know how to work with them properly yet. I'm planning to do another experiment with the picture I'm working on now, so hopefully I'll fix that. As for the color saturation, I'm quite satisfied with it. I would like to continue working with colors like this. The wall face seems a bit crooked, but again, I'm trying to speed up the drawing a bit, so I didn't spend too much time on it. I'm not the type of the artist who wants to draw every hair. It's more about simplifying everything as much as possible. The overall impression of the picture seems like an auto memory, which was what I wanted. Now I keep you waiting with a speed paint again. And let's move on to the last picture of the day. Already 4 of them. My goal was to work with other reference, but make it stylized at the same time. I wanted to make them different, but still similar to the reference. I again started with a sketch and then made a quick and simple line art, so that I could paint over it. In the first picture I made it quite hard for myself with the angle and the light source of choice. At first I wanted to give up on the picture, but I didn't. I kept going, which is great. In the end I managed to quite well, but I tried to work on each one for an hour and a half at the most. As you can see in the second picture, it didn't quite work out. I'm still not satisfied with the result, but I really tried. On the second one, I started with a crude sketch, and it was causing me the troubles for the rest of the time I had. It's not a total disaster, but it definitely could have been better. In any case, I have already exceeded the time that I dedicate here, and therefore I had to move on. Shading black hair will be a mystery for me, but I'm not going to give up. I also don't like the colors chosen for the cheek shadow and it's still too light. Well, I'm going to work on that. The third picture went much better. Even though I was fighting with the angle, it turned out better than I expected. I didn't deviate so much from the model, and I also like the coloring. This is the styling I wanted. And then my nightmare came, face from a profile. It really was another battle. I did a sketch, light line art, base color, and then deleted everything because it was awful. She still looks a little bit like a monkey, but still better than the first try. Thank God for that. And that's all for today's Tea at 5. Thank you for your attention, hopefully you had a good time with me. And sorry for my English again. See you again next time.